alien abductions, potential CIA situation, a glitch in time, and a lady in white.
My uncle, who lived a mile or so up, had all 8 chickens killed that night. Heads gone, no blood.
I want to pee myself right now.
Guess what we covered, you guys? You'll never guess.
It's Appalachia again. We are diving into some of these haunting stories that the brave souls have shared on Reddit. The crystal ball says, not the asshole.
Not the asshole.
Hello.
Hi, this is Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two girls, one ghost. And we're hands-free.
Again.
And still not used to it. We are your ghostesses. That is Corinne. I'm Sabrina. Your hair looks absolutely divine today.
That's what you told me, and that is weird because I did nothing to it. But that means I'm going to stop trying to do something to it.
Oh, natural, baby.
Oh, natural.
This is
touching my mic.
Quite cheesy, and I don't care if you all are rolling your eyes as I say this. I was driving here, and this is my first winter to spring in 13 years. And I just had this beautiful moment just driving through the streets that a month ago, all of these trees and the grass was barren and dead. And now it's springing life. And I was like, what a beautiful metaphor for life. You can lose your color, you can lose your leaves and feel bleak and gray, but that doesn't mean there's no hope. That just around the bend, there is life and color and spring coming your way. Yeah. And I just was like,
and love.
Yes.
I'll show you a video of some mating snapping turtles that were in my parents' backyard for this spring. So much mating.
Made away this spring.
Made away. But no, that is a really beautiful sentiment. I'm glad that you said that because I normally don't think of spring that way. My seasonal depression starts to shed and I feel happier, but my allergies make me have beef with this
out with the depression and with the allergies.
Right?
Shed something, bring forth something new.
Or something new. Another type of suffering.
Which one would you prefer?
Allergies.
Yeah. At least you can be outside.
Yeah. No, it is really pretty. If you look at my photo roll during spring, this is actually probably the time of year that I have the most photos taken outside.
Yeah.
Because I'm constantly taking photos of every flowering shrub and tree being like, I'm going to plant that in my yard. Yeah. Because I want to know what flowers and what looks pretty. And then I never, ever go back to those photos again.
Not yet.
But every year I collect more and more.
You collect more and more.
I should make a coffee table book. I have thousands of images.
Anyway, just a little message of hope if anyone is struggling because I've been there quite often and I get it. And it was just a nice little sentiment.
That is really nice.
And moment. But we do have a nature-y episode ahead of us.
Guess what we covered, you guys? You'll never guess.
It's Appalachia again.
But this time we're doing it a little bit different because we get lost in Appalachia online lore. We get lost in TikTok. We get lost in Reddit threads. I think that's where everyone gets lost, right? Because that's where we hear all the tips. We hear all the horror stories from people.
Yeah.
And so we decided to do a little bit of a Reddit focus to find some of the creepy things people have taken to the internet to try to explain away.
Or just share their horrifying, terrifying experiences that they have had within the Appalachia region. And there are countless stories.
So many threads dedicated to it.
Threads, yeah. And I just feel like Appalachia is abound with creepiness. It's a place where legends linger. I wrote a little intro.
Oh, wow. It's right into it.
I like how I wrote this, so hold on. Okay.
Let her read.
Spotlight, please. Snap, snap.
Oh, God. We should install one of those.
That would be so cool.
But it's just a disco ball that comes down. Now I want
You guys, it took us how long to get microphone stands? We're never going to get that. Cue a ominous little music. The Appalachian Mountains are a place where legends linger like mist in the trees, and Reddit is an absolute goldmine for these eerie and chilling stories. From vanishing time slips to alien encounters, not deer sightings, bears collapsing on tents, fugitives lurking in the woods, axe-wielding strangers. Appalachia holds some of the most haunting and bizarre stories you'll ever hear.
That's the truth.
Today, we are diving into some of these haunting stories that the brave souls have shared on Reddit. I do have an honorable mention before I get into the creepy ones.
And I have a little surprise at the end.
For me?
Very Reddit appropriate.
Okay, I love it. This is an honorable mention because we focus primarily on like the odd, the unusual, the paranormal, mysterious Reddit stories. But I was so surprised by how many people shared this one specific type of encounter. And I guess it makes sense if you're camping out in the woods, in the wilderness, and there are bears.
Mm-hmm.
But like multiple campers would go into their tent at night, snuggling up into their sleeping bags, ready for a restful night or hoping for a restful night, only to wake up some hours later in the middle of the night to something pushing down on their tent and bears sleeping on their freaking tents.
Really?
Yes. Full body weight on the tent.
Because everyone likes to co-sleep.
But how terrifying.
That is really terrifying. And it's also odd. Like, is it because the smell of food is nearby and so they're just attracted to... I don't know. Now I need to understand
like
bear
a little
psyche.
Hammock for them.
Right? Like, why are they there? Although, okay, wait. I have one very fast bear-related story. My Grammy's camp that's on a lake in the Bethel, Maine area.
Mm-hmm.
I was at not my Grammy's camp, but across the lake, staying at my other aunt and uncle's camp. And it was really hot out. And so my parents were like, you should keep the window open when you sleep tonight. And I was like, I don't know. I don't feel comfortable. I bet, like, what if a bear, it was like an intrusive thought. Like, what if a bear comes and like smacks the window because the bed is right below the window. So my head is right next to the window. And my parents were like, okay, like that's not going to happen.
Oh my God.
4 a.m.
No.
Bear paw right on the glass window that I kept closed.
What happened?
It just kept walking.
It just high-fived the window and
left?
High-fived
the window and went away. Because the way the window was, it was like maybe like a 3-foot clearing between the woods and the house right there. And so it just kept on moving.
Stop by.
It was probably like squish itself through the little alleyway. But yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if that was a premonition or just wood smarts that my parents clearly lacked.
Damn.
My noggin almost got crushed by a bear in Maine.
Okay, well, glad you survived.
Would I survive on the Appalachian Trail, though?
I don't know, but you were called to it for years, so I feel like...
There's still something in me.
Dun, dun, dun. Stay tuned. Next episode will be live from Appalachia. So I have a couple different stories today. Alien abductions or potential ones. Missing time with like a potential CIA have their fingers involved in situation. A glitch in time and a lady in white. So I'm going to start with the lady in white. It's a shorter story. And this user deleted their account, but it was posted 2 years ago. I lived in the partially secluded rural countryside, and one midnight I woke up and the house behind mine was on fire with smoke filling the air. So I approached the house within a 15-yard distance, and the only people I could see were the residents of the house. So I'm standing there watching, and all of a sudden, a young woman appears behind me, dressed in a solid white nightgown with long gray hair. I turned my head towards the fire real quick and then back towards the woman. In that split second, that woman completely vanished. I'm not one to believe in ghosts, but it was a very supernatural experience.
I mean, how else do you explain it? It's a ghost.
100%. And now, like, my brain wants to be like, well, what does she have to do with the fire?
Right.
Did she, like, if this user had gone to talk to the couple that lived in the house and got out of the fire, would they have told him a story of waking up to this, like, visage of a lady in white warning them?
Or it was almost like I was thinking that perhaps she was there to grab this person if she needed to, if the people didn't get out. Like she was going to be the interference.
Or she was just a nosy spirit.
Yeah.
She's like, I want to see what's going on with the fire.
I mean, if you're in the middle of like the deep, dark woods and you see fire and you're a ghost, are you not attracted to go?
I'm attracted
to the firelight?
As a ghost, I want to see all of it. Like,
right? Me too.
I will be the ghost that watches you in the shower. Like, I'm sorry.
I concur. Okay. This is from Blues with Beer, and it was written in 2021. I'll make a shorter story for a longer one involving sensitive auras, but once I was with a girl on Big Frog Mountain at dusk, miles away from anyone. We decided to walk up a trail when, right behind the car, I stepped in a mud puddle with odd-looking light brownish water. So I pointed to this unusual color, and then we kept on walking. Not far up the trail, she started getting scared, and so we went back to the car. And in the car, we started making out while lying in the front seat, and she had her hand draped out the window. I felt an odd sensation in my back. It had happened before when people were behind me, and I told her, "You should pull your hand in," which she did. A few minutes later, I felt the sensation in my back again, but this time it felt more urgent. So I rolled her window up. But being a horny-ass teenager, I continued with the makeout session.
I have questions about the like body layout here with like making out while hand is out. Yeah.
Because otherwise, how are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you draw us a picture?
Send us a video.
Of teenagers making out?
No. I just meant just.
I know. I reacted. I'm just bullying you.
Stop. You know, like when you're a kid and you're getting like tickled or something and like all you can do is drop to the floor and just like make yourself as small as possible. That's how I felt in that moment.
Sorry. Oh my God. All right. I'll get back to being nice.
Thanks.
A few minutes later, it felt like someone had struck a live wire to my back. So this time I sat up, I started the car, and I headed back down the mountain. She was obviously confused and asked me what was wrong, and I replied, "I don't know, but something was wrong somewhere." We went back to my parents' house and was assured by them that my family was okay. So having calmed down now, we ate a little bit of dinner and then started to leave. After I opened the car door for her, I walked around the back of the car, and while walking, I glanced at the back of the car and I saw handprints.
No.
The same color as that mysterious mud puddle on the car. The last one was over the back window, and it was obvious that someone was watching us while inching their way to the front driver's side window.
Holy shit.
When I have chills all over my body. When I saw the handprints, it was like being hit with a lightning bolt, and I knew what had happened. Cold chills ran all over me. I got her out of the car, and as soon as she saw the prints, she knew too. This story is the absolute truth, so help me, and I will never forget it.
Terrifying.
And also, it leaves me with questions because it does feel like there's some, like they're indicating that it's like a person almost, right? But then like the mysterious mud puddle.
I'm thinking it's blood.
Like, oh, weird brownish color.
Yeah.
So it could be blood. Because I was like, okay, someone has to be like dripping and oozing this substance for it to collect here.
It's like a swamp monster, but it's creeping.
It's creeping.
And that's like such a local lore horror stereotype where it's
two
like
kids making out in a car
by the woods or like at the overlook, and then like the hunting terrible killer is lurking, watching them.
Yes. Oh my God, so creepy though.
Thank goodness you had the feelings.
Yeah, trust your intuition, trust your gut.
Okay,
roll up the windows.
It's interesting because it's like, is that a person or is that something supernatural happening? And that's the thing about Appalachia. It's like, because it's such a big rural, some of the areas are really rural, like people are just as dangerous as the animals and the creatures and the unknown in the wilderness.
Although I want to say one more thing about the one that I just read.
Sure.
The girl was feeling scared when they were walking down the path. So it feels like whatever it was stalking them the whole time. And again, it does make me wonder, like, is this a person or is this a creature?
Because you could get that feeling from both.
Right.
If you're being hunted, it makes sense that feeling of fear would come up.
Right.
So my next story, it's actually two stories from the same user, and they both take place in West Virginia. And this was from a thread where someone was asking if people who lived in the Appalachia area verify whether the area is actually cursed or not. So this user, Cinnamon Soy, posted twice with two stories to back up the idea that the West Virginia Appalachian woods are absolutely creepy and that you are never going to feel alone in the woods. So the user wrote, our friend group was usually about 9 people, but on this one evening, we were having a sleepover and only 5 from the group could make it. So we were 7 total, me, my sister, and my 5 friends. We decided it would be ballsy to go take a walk at 11 p.m. And our house was super rural, and our driveway was this really long road that had 2 other neighbors down it. So our house was the first on the drive, and it was about 1/3 of a mile of a walk before you get to our house. Then another 1/4 of a mile to get to the neighbors. And then maybe after that, another 1,000 feet or so to get to the last house. This driveway is surrounded by thick woods. It looks like Fern Gully in the spring. And I'd say due to the neighbors, I always felt safe, but it was definitely still creepy. So all of us went out with our flashlights and our dog. And as we were going along, occasionally someone would duck into the woods, run ahead, jump out, and scare us. You know, middle schoolers. And after a while, that got old. So I stopped and I counted everyone to make sure we were all there. I counted 8, and another friend counted 8 as well. We continued walking, and then we stopped and counted again. When we got within sight of our neighbor's house, we decided, let's turn around. We counted our numbers again to make sure we had everyone. Again, 8 of us. Then we turned back to my house, and when we were almost back, we all got this feeling like someone had left the group. And we counted. There were 7 of us now. And we noticed our friend A was missing. I felt like something was wrong, but the other girls were like, no, she's just going to jump out and scare us. They all said, let's leave, head back to your house, and she'll find us. But I had a bad feeling. So did another girl. I refused to go down the hill to my house without finding A. As I was about to turn around, I heard a faint, help me. I took off in the direction of the call for help with one of my friends. We heard it again. It did not sound like our friend A at all. Then we saw a light flashing in the dark. We ran to it. And there we found A, passed out on the side of the road, leaves strewn over her. Her flashlight broken into 3 pieces. She came to, and we sat her up, brushing the leaves away. She said she didn't call for help, that she had actually gone off the trail to jump out and scare us, when all of a sudden something white brushed past her, causing her to trip on some rocks, fall, and pass out. By this time, the others had joined us with A, and we helped her back, all of us returning to my house. We were sitting around the dining room table and decided to count how many of us there were. 7. Why did we keep counting 8? There was never 8 of us. Who was the extra head we kept counting?
Third man syndrome.
We never saw anyone we didn't recognize. So who was number 8? And then when we noticed A was missing, we counted 7, meaning that mysterious number 8 was still there with us.
Ew. I hate that.
It was only once we found A and returned home that that extra person vanished. We were all so confused by it. And when we counted 8, we never really thought much of it because we're used to our larger group. But no, we were definitely only 7 that night. And to this day, we've never figured out what happened. Imagine counting your whole group, not recognizing anyone unusual or weird, but it's 8 people and multiple people were counting. So it's not like one person made a mistake.
Right. And wouldn't you know, like it's not a huge group. So I would know if I counted you twice. Right. So it's not even like it could be a doppelganger situation. It's really
so
confusing.
Weird.
Bizarre. And then it's also like the help me. It's like, well, is it the friend? Like, is it when she's passed out? Is it like her soul going out and asking for help somehow? Or is it this mysterious? Or is like the 8th person even the same thing? Is it even related to the white spirit?
There's so many confusing aspects
brushed
to this.
by, because that makes me think that the spirit that like brushed by and accidentally knocked her over was like, oh shoot, and went and was like, help me. Then it's like, well, if they were counting 8, then that spirit should have already been with the group. I don't know. I'm confused.
It's so confusing. Cinnamon Soy is confused too. And that's not the only encounter that they had in the Appalachia region. And luckily for us, they shared another encounter. And this was posted 8 months ago. This happened when they were 12 or 13. So Cinnamon Soy wrote, I was in middle school about 12 or 13, and my friend Jay had a sleepover birthday party at her house. It was a typical sleepover, except we were going to sleep in a big tent on the side of her front yard, not too far from the West Virginia Appalachia tree line. She lived in a cul-de-sac, but this neighborhood was still being built, so her family was one of the few that lived here at the time. The woods around her house were so thick and deep. I want to say we were close to the Kanawha River, which I have a photo. It's beautiful.
Oh, wow. I want to kayak on that.
So there we were outside in the tent as the sun began to set, chatting, doing middle school girl stuff. And I remember that this happened after dark. We could hear the voice of her neighbor, Mr. Pinkerton, as she called him. And he was all the way up the street on his back porch talking on the phone. My goodness, this guy was a loud talker. Nothing else seemed noticeable, just this neighbor talking really loud. We heard the bugs as normal, nothing unusual. So naturally, we decided to start telling scary stories. Of course, we talked about the Mothman and Chief Cornstalk, who I've never heard of, so I had to pause and do some research. It seems like we'll have to do another episode of this later. But briefly, Chief Cornstalk was a Shawnee leader, and in November of 1777, Cornstalk, along with 3 other native members of the tribe, went to Fort Randolph on a peace mission. They ended up being taken hostage and then being murdered. But before dying, Cornstalk was alleged to have pronounced a curse upon all lands taken from his people by the white man. There they are, all of them in the tent, telling creepy stories, talking about the creepy West Virginia legends and haints when they got a little spooked. So someone decided, let's not talk about scary stories anymore. They switched to lighthearted gossip and whatnot. And Cinnamon Soy said, I don't remember how much long after, but maybe an hour or so later as we're talking, suddenly everyone in the tent screamed. I looked to my friend Abby. Her and I were the only ones that did not scream. We had our backs to whatever everyone else had seen and was looking at. We were told that a large shadow of a man appeared on the side of the tent directly behind Abby and I.
Oh my God.
As if it was coming closer to the entrance of the tent. Then all of them screamed and the shadow disappeared. We sat there in shock for a minute, not moving, not breathing. We could still hear Mr. Pinkerton yapping on his phone. We debated what to do. Maybe her parents were pranking us. So we got up the courage to all get out of the tent together and go find her parents. We went inside to find they were fast asleep in their bed. They had not even stirred when we all screamed. It was all too creepy. We decided to grab our stuff and go inside. We locked all the doors, went and slept in my friend's room all together on the floor in bed, with her bedroom door locked as well.
Good.
What was even creepier was that the way a shadow could have been formed outside would not have ever been on that side of the tent.
Oh, God. Okay, well, this is so appropriate because I feel like this is the story of people who live in Appalachia. It doesn't end with one experience. There's throughout their lives continuously encounters with the paranormal, with scary people.
Where the paranormal is normal.
Appalachia, where the paranormal is normal.
Is normal.
Dang.
But yeah.
Oh, I'm so curious what it was.
That also reminds me, and this is kind of like your bear story, but more human adjacent. And I think I've told this on the podcast before, but I want to say it was the New Year's for 2000. And because it was such a big, the new millennia, like our whole neighborhood in Branchburg, had, like one of the neighbors had like a massive party. And like all of the parents were like, we're getting fucked up. So us kids all were going to have a sleepover at the house. And so like all the parents were downstairs having the party, whatever. And a bunch of us kids were upstairs in one of the bedrooms. We're laying there. Everyone's like half asleep, going to bed. Like we're not like talking and up. When all of a sudden we hear a loud smack on the window and see a gloved hand on the window. And we all screamed. I don't remember like what happened afterwards, but I think there was a ladder leading up to that window. And we all believe like a human had climbed up the ladder and was like fucking with us or doing something weird.
One of the drunk dads, let's hope.
I hope. But the parents didn't believe us. They were all like, no, that's not true. Like that didn't happen. It was probably a bird.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, that's messed up. And also like, why would you leave a ladder leading up to your child's bedroom?
But that's what I'm not clear about. I don't know if it was left there. Like it almost feels like the person who did the creeping left the ladder there by accident or because they got caught.
They got caught because they slipped and slammed their body into the window.
Maybe.
Oh my God. Ew. This is from They Are Out There.
Terrifying.
75.
I love it.
It was posted 1 year ago. I've posted this before, but this is one of the scariest stories I have ever heard. So here it is again. This story was told in our family when I was growing up. It used to scare me so bad. Anyway, my mama swore that it was the truth, and she was not known to tell lies. Suddenly, I'm trying so hard to not adopt a Southern accent.
Yeah. Well,
when
you say mama,
out,
yeah.
Okay. And she was not known to tell lies. And I should know because it was just me and her when I was growing up.
The chair squeaking when I'm like not letting a laugh out. The chair's laughing for me.
Anyway, she was born and raised in a very rural and poor area of West Virginia. Her and her 7 or 8 brothers and sisters were very poor. And because of this, and because it was what many country people did, her father raised a garden. Now, my mama nearly idolized her father and would go with him the distance from their house to the garden spot, which was a good piece off. This required that they push a wagon with wooden wheels past their neighbor's house. My mama was terrified of this old woman that lived beside them. Mama said that they called her Aunt Kate. She was older, and apparently she had cataracts because Mama said her eyes were white.
Ooh.
Mama said that this particular summer was extremely hot and that she and her father had spent a good bit of time at the garden tending the vegetables and picking what was ready. As they were pushing this big wagon up and in front of Aunt Kate's house, the old woman came out and yelled, "Harrison," my great-grandfather, give me some of them beans you got there.
Why do I love Aunt Kate?
Right? I like her a lot. She doesn't seem so scary.
She wants beans.
She wants the beans. Beans to make good dance.
Good fiber.
My great-grandfather responded, Kate, we worked hard for them beans. We ain't giving them away. The old woman laughed and said that we would regret this decision.
Why do I feel like this is Rapunzel?
Oh my gosh, is she going to be stolen away? Because her dad didn't give beans?
But it's like the reverse where Rapunzel's family stole from the old witch's garden.
Oh
this
my gosh.
This is like you're not giving me from your garden. So
they're out there always thought that this was her own garden with her dad, but really they were stealing from Kate the whole time. So the two proceeded up the hill to their home and went about chores and other required duties. And then Mama said that she thought nothing more of it until it was time to sleep. According to my mama, with so many kids, some shared beds, and some on the floor where they slept with minimal coverings, Mama said that she was drifting off to sleep when she heard someone or something walk towards the room where she was sleeping. Knowing the sound of the home, she did not recognize who or what this could be. Mama always talked about how her father would tell them stories, mostly to scare them into being good, and due to this, she was easily scared. So as the walking got closer, she reported covering her head and laying still, terrified of who or what was standing in the doorway. Mama reported that, quote, whatever it was would turn and walk out of the room and back down the hallway.
Ugh.
And it did this all night long. Mama
over and over?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Mama said she laid there all terrified and scared to take her head out from under the blanket. The next morning as the sun arose, the thing stopped. She stated that she then heard the familiar sound of her father moving quickly to get dressed. Once she bolstered enough bravery, she immediately darted down the hallway and into the kitchen where her father was placing green beans into a sack. The two did not speak, but just walked quickly out the door and down the hill to Aunt Kate's house with a sack full of beans. Mama said old Aunt Kate was already out, sitting on her porch as if she was waiting for them to arrive. Her father said, "Old woman, take your booger," an Appalachian term for spirit and demon. "Old woman, take your booger back." And Aunt Kate started laughing and telling them, "Don't worry, Harrison. It won't bother you no more."
I love Aunt Kate so much.
She's powerful. She's a witch in the woods.
Yes.
Mama told other things that Aunt Kate did that alluded to her being someone very familiar with the dark side. And Mama was very honest. She was a Christian lady. Like, we had to go to church every time the doors were open. And I never remember a time where I caught her in a lie or even heard her curse.
Damn.
And she swore that Aunt Kate was into black magic. And that's that.
I love Aunt Kate.
Right?
I really do. I get it. It's terrifying.
Harrison, give me some of them beans.
Yeah. If your mama and that family, yes, horrifying, terrifying experience. But it would be pretty sick to be Aunt Kate.
He had a ton of kids. Like, you need those beans, Aunt Kate. Because at first I was going to say, like, it's just a couple of beans. Give her the beans. Those beans, they're
feeding the family.
They're feeding the family.
But that's the other thing is, like, if Aunt Kate can use her demons to do things like this, why can't she use her demons to, like, plant her own garden?
Yeah, grow your own garden. It's reminding me of that story that you covered where the woman gave her request of how she would die and be buried. And then they brought her down the hill. Hannah Cranna. Didn't she have like a magical garden? She would like help people with remedies, but then she also could reverse it and mess with people's crops if they wronged her.
Yes. Or that was the story.
That was the story.
Yeah. That she like turned a man into a horse and then rode the horse through. Like, I think that was part of the story. Okay. I have one that, stay tuned. In 2 episodes' time, we will cover this in its entirety. And I've heard about it before, but I've never really looked into it. Mm-hmm. And this story made me look into it. And holy shitballs.
Okay.
So this user, Uno That Universe, wrote 2 years ago the following. 2 of the people who were with me at the time have died, but this happened in 1989. I was in a car with some friends, and something happened that I still cannot explain. Basically, it fits in the category of alien abduction stories, and I'm fairly skeptical as a person, but I really have no idea what happened. It happened in the area that is the location of a CIA facility called the Monroe Institute.
Oh.
Naturally, I wanted to learn more about the Monroe Institute, And this is why I will do an episode about it.
I feel like it's come up in stuff that we've covered before, hasn't it?
I think so. And there's a podcast called The Gateway Tapes.
Oh, maybe that's where. I'm like, I feel like I know a bit about this and I don't know why. But if there's a conspiracy, I'm there.
It's actually not a conspiracy.
Really?
It's the CIA documents have been released. I'll get into this more in 2 episodes' time, but basically, the Monroe Institute of Applied Sciences was founded by Robert Monroe in 1974. Online, it states, the Monroe Institute offers courses and experiential programs that will help you explore your consciousness to achieve wellness. It is headquartered in Faber, Virginia, smack dab in the Appalachian Mountains. And there are multiple documents, CIA documents, that have been approved for release and are available online as of 2003. But according to these documents, the Monroe Institute had or has a program called the Gateway Program, formed to instruct and train individuals in the art of switching perceptual modes.
Wait, isn't this the document that I went into to get the code when I was giving birth to try to cheat?
Is it the same document?
I think it might be.
Okay, so they do have...
I could be talking out my butt here, but I think that's it.
Okay, because they do have a thing where it's supposed to help you with pain. But they have different... There's a whole intermediate workbook that's available, which we're going to go through. We're going to go through in the episode and talk about everything. It's 21 pages.
Class, but if this were a class, I'd be signing up.
It is. You can go to the Monroe Institute. I think you can sign up for classes.
I want a virtual class.
Okay, well, I'll give it to you in 2 weeks. It's basically astral projection, remote viewing, reaching a second consciousness. And this intermediate workbook is 21 pages that I just briefly started reading, and I'll just read a couple of things from it. And there's some pictures in the YouTube video, but these are daily tools listed in the Monroe Institute Gateway Handbook. To go into normal, natural, restful sleep, lie down in a comfortable position, breathe deeply 5 times, and count from 1 to 20. Before you reach the count of 20, you'll go into a normal, restful sleep. To remember any part of your life experience, close your eyes and touch softly the fingers of your right hand to the center of your forehead. When you do this, you recall and remember immediately that which you consciously desire. Okay, this says to reduce pain signals. This is the number.
I was like, wait, why do I know this thing?
Which is so weird that we just talked about this and then I happened upon it in this story.
Right.
And so we have to cover it. But yes, so to reduce pain signals, look with your closed eyes at the part of your body which is the source of pain signals. As you look, repeat in your mind the number 55515. When you do these 2 things, the pain signals will slowly reduce until they are no longer important. They have to reduce emotional charge, to charge the body for great speed and strength, to receive fresh new energy for your total system, balance any part of your body. There's all of these different things. And
because we're living in a simulation and these are the cheat codes.
Yes.
But it's also one of those things where it's the mind is so powerful. And there are so many studies where people can create bruises and ailments and injuries on themselves if they convince themselves they have it.
They have
this is almost like the reverse. It's convince yourself
that pain doesn't exist.
Right.
And then
fake it till you make it does work.
There are all these different modules and images in the manual that remind me of Dark, the show.
I never, yeah.
Look
you
at
talk about
these.
Dark. I need to go into it.
The clock orientation where it has consciousness is here, but then if you turn the clock, consciousness, it's basically talking about how time is fake in an image.
Does this not make you so mad that the OA wasn't renewed? I will never get over that. That was my greatest heartache, the greatest tragedy of my personal life was the OA.
You should watch, did you watch Murder at the End of the World?
I did.
Britt Marling also wrote that.
Yeah, but it's not like the OA.
I know. But it is kind of.
It's good. There's twists and turns, but the OA is.
I know.
This. It's all about consciousness and time and what do certain things mean and
we'll
syncing.
Have our own OA next week. 2 weeks. Anyway, so that's just a little teaser for what the future episode's going to be. But Uno, that universe, had this experience, potential missing time, alien abduction right around this area, which is common. I think a lot of people lose time and have abduction-like experiences in this area, which makes me think and wonder if all the work that is happening at Monroe Institute, all of these people together mentally remote viewing or astral projecting, does it create this bubble of weird energy that accidentally rubs off on people?
You know what? I'm going to say with absolute certainty that the answer is yes, only because there was a time that I went to a chiropractor when I was like young. And I didn't go to a normal chiropractor. I went to this kind of woo-woo chiropractor because I lived in Vermont.
Yes.
Remember? And I told you this, and they would just like tap on different pressure points on my back, let me lay there for 10 minutes, and then suddenly my back would crack. And after going for like a month or two, as I started walking into the office without them even touching me, my back would just start to crack. It was like from the energy, like my body knowing, my brain knowing the energy around me. And other people who'd been going so consistently for years, I've told you this before, their spines, I think about this multiple times a year. Their spines, when you breathe, you go like this. If you look at someone laying on their stomach, these people.
What? That freaks me out. Why does that make me feel uncomfortable?
I don't know what the fuck was going on with their spines, but it was like that. If you unlocked like your full spine potential, you would get to be this kind of like breathing little dolphin in the waves. I don't understand what was going on.
Oh my God.
I should see if I can find their contacts and like literally ask them.
Let's do a live recording of us with them.
Well, they can give us, I bet they could do remote chiropractic work, honestly.
Oh my God.
It was Rushford Chiropractors in South Burlington or Burlington, Vermont. They're going to be like, Corinne, your memory is not accurate.
No, your memory is for sure accurate. So anyway, Uno, that universe literally put that like one statement that I had read earlier and kind of left it at that. And I read it as this like really weird thing happened to me and I don't really know how to talk about it. So naturally, because I've now mastered how to use Reddit, I clicked on the username and then was like going into a deep dive of like everything that this user has posted. They seem so fascinated with aliens and stuff now. Like they truly track flights and like different weird things that are found in the airspace. They wrote a lot. And I think like after that one experience around the Monroe Institute, they began to have a lot of alien abduction like experiences.
Interesting.
And they posted, I really don't know what it was that I encountered on my last trip. I think it's possible that the location is key to the whole thing. And Robert Monroe, seemed to think that that place where it occurred is somehow different. Afton Mountain in Virginia has definitely been the location of most of my strange experiences. The weirdest part is it seems like the whole area is in on it and is too afraid to say anything. I wish I was joking.
Wow, that is freaky.
I tried to send them a chat on Reddit, but like for some reason it said that user, it like didn't go through. I don't know.
Oh yeah, Reddit has all these things where like you have to interact and do so many things to be able to like give so many permissions.
I don't have enough Reddit credit.
Yeah.
But that's the Monroe Institute.
Wild. Okay, this reminds me like the whole town being in on it. Doesn't this kind of feel like
that one story from the listener who her and her dad were on a road trip and they went to the mysterious town that they didn't know grilled cheese, what a grilled cheese sandwich was?
Yes. And I was just going to say like, because that story reminded me of another story too when we were reading it about the people that thought they walked into it like a time portal because they walked into a diner and just everyone looked at them.
Yes.
And this feels like that town, right?
It's very.
And then it's like, are all these other experiences people accidentally astral projecting, getting like sucked into this one space? Again, if this energy is here and the fact that this person is experiencing all of these like possible abductions or interest in aliens goes with the theory that we originally heard from Greg and Dana, but we were also kind of like ruminating with for a little bit beforehand that alien abductions don't necessarily mean an abduction of your physical body, but it's some sort of abduction of your consciousness, of your soul.
And we talked about this recently, but there was a TikTok with that trend where it's like, tell me your creepiest encounter in the woods. And one person, I think their username was like Rook, R-O-O-K. And they said that they fell asleep in the woods, like they were camping and woke up 3 days later. Like 3 days passed. No recollection.
What did their friends and family do? Were they missing?
Well, I think that they were camping. Like they were supposed to be camping for a while. So like it wasn't unusual. And they were alone, which also wild to go camping alone. Bravery and stupidity. Sorry if you do that, but like I could never. But yeah, 3 days. 3 days passed.
How could you ever bring yourself to go camping again? You couldn't, right?
I think partially you have to just ignore the reality of what happened. Do some
I would have to convince myself that I wasn't just like missing time and abducted. I would have to convince myself that I was always present and stepped through some sort of time portal and accidentally just like bleeped 3 days into the future. Not that I was missing memory.
But yeah, it's all terrifying.
It's all terrifying. Yeah. I wonder if they've ever gone back to that one area.
I should message Rook.
Let's just start DMing all the people on Reddit with spooky stories.
Like, hey,
what happened?
Tell me more.
Tell me more. Tell me more. Okay. Well, this says, let me tell you what I saw in the Appalachian Mountains.
Okay.
This is from Phgrim. Phgrim.
Okay.
Hello, all. Originally, I'm from West Virginia. Doesn't it all happen down in West Virginia?
Multiple of our stories, West Virginia and Virginia.
It's the creepiest area.
Yeah.
I moved around between the Appalachian and the Midwest, some as a kid. But between the ages of 10 and 13, I lived in rural Kentucky at the foothills of one of the oldest mountain ranges on the planet. I lived with my dad and my grams. We lived in what we call a holler. Think of it like a cul-de-sac in between a set of foothills. Oh my gosh.
What?
That just fully triggered a memory. Do you remember that reality show? It was like about the holler or whatever.
No.
It was a bunch of kids and they were just like getting drunk in the hall. Oh my God, I love that show. Anyway, we lived in the middle of the neighborhood with nothing but family on both sides. No one lived across from us or behind us because of the foothills. And when I moved in, my grams had some rules that I had to follow. At the time, I chalked them up to hillbilly stranger danger. They were things like, don't mess around with wild animals. Don't go out into the woods alone. Then they got a little weird. Don't whistle. If you hear your name, don't answer. Don't go to it. If you see someone in the woods you might know, no, you didn't. Just come home.
Yikes.
This experience happened in August when I was 11 years old. My dad and I had mowed a path through the tall grass and the berry bushes to the left of the double wide that we lived in. We camped out there a lot because it was close enough that we could go check on my grams. Now, when you're in the woods, things are a little louder than you think. You have animal life, bugs chattering, wind through the trees, and grass. There was a stream that ran along the road that you could easily hear, and that night we added a campfire to that list. My dad decided to go back up to the house about a quarter mile to get some beer and to go check on grams, and before he left, he told me not to mess around with the fire. After a few minutes of watching the fire, things started to get quiet. Like, real quiet. The wind had all but stopped. Bugs and animal sounds were all gone. The stream now sounded like it was miles away. I was getting uncomfortable, even though I'd been left at the campground before like this. And then I started to smell and taste it. It was in the back of my throat and out of nowhere. This awful metal tang. And after a few more moments of dread, my dad finally came back. He was mad right away. Said he could smell burning metal coming up the trail. He accused me of tossing beer cans into the fire. I told him I didn't. I even pointed to the fire to prove it. He said there was a storm coming in. We needed to go back home, and he let it go. We then left the tent, and we started our way back. Now, the very cool but very weird thing about lightning in the woods, when it's this dense, is that lightning hits, and it lights up everything, like it's the middle of the day, up until the front of the trees. After the first set of trees, it's pitch black. There are no street lights, and unless you have lights on your property, it is just completely black. So it is pitch black. It's lightly raining. And other than the dim lights from the house windows, there's literally nothing. I'm eating watermelon, as one does in August in the mountains when the first clap of lightning hits, and everything is as bright as it can be. After the second lightning passes, it goes pitch black again. Next clap of lightning comes, and that's when I see it.
Uh-oh.
On our porch, past the yard, over the stream, past the road, and the ditches on either side, just past the first line of trees, I could see a silhouette.
My ears are so open right now. Like, I feel like I'm so hyper aware of everything around.
Like you're there.
Yeah.
And then it goes dark. This is also when I can start to taste that same awful burning metal. And I'm not sure what I saw, so I just stay still. And after a few moments, the lightning hits again. The figure is now closer. It's standing side by side to the trees. And then it goes black again. I'm standing now, and I don't know what to do. It's been 20 years to this day, and I've tried, but could never fully describe what I saw. This thing's head wasn't proportionate to its body. The arms were too long. The torso didn't fit. It was like you asked a blind person to draw what a person looked like. It just didn't look exactly correct. And once the lightning hit again, the thing is standing in the middle of the road. Not wanting to see this thing get any closer, I go inside. My Gramps is doing dishes and asks why I'm inside, and I tell her I think I saw something. She almost immediately gets my dad on his feet, telling him to shut and lock all the windows, shut and lock all the doors. My dad, vaguely drunk, obeys. And that night, I sleep with my Grams. The next day, we discover the tent door is torn off. It didn't look like an animal. These things weren't cut or shredded. It looked like someone took and pulled it all apart. My uncle, who lived a mile or so up, had all 8 chickens killed that night. Heads gone, no blood. The next few weeks, all of the kids had to wait for the bus with an adult. My dad had to be late for work almost 3 weeks in a row. Anytime I tried to talk about it, the subject would be changed. I just figured I was a kid and maybe it wasn't important, maybe it wasn't real. It wasn't until years later that I finally understood. I was in my early 20s and some cousins were in town for Halloween. And as I'm telling this story, my aunt got really irate with me, saying, "Don't you tell them that. Don't you put that evil on them." After I couldn't help but think...
And now we're putting the evil on everyone.
Right?
Sorry.
Well, they put it on Reddit.
That's true.
After I couldn't help but think back on all of the times I tried to talk about it and how I was shunned, my kid mind not realizing that it wasn't just as simple as a subject change. They were actively shushing me. Once I started dipping my toes on Reddit, I realized that there's a name for this fucking thing. The same name that my aunt had called it the day at the party, and the other people who have seen it have called it. The Goatman. What bothers me most is how, to this day, I couldn't describe any features, nor have I ever tasted that awful burning metal taste. So friends, if you ever find yourself in the foothills of Kentucky, please remember my Grams rules. And that's it.
I want to pee myself right now.
Right? It's so terrifying.
The metallic taste in the air, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh!
And how it was pitch black and every clap of lightning, you see it, it's illuminated, and it's that much closer.
It's a horror trope, but it's a horror trope for a reason because
it moves in the dark. It can see, you can't.
And that's similar to when people have shadow people experiences or sleep paralysis at night when they wake up and they try to blink it away, but every time they blink, it's closer to them.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's one of those things that makes me wonder, why is it that we can't see them move? Do they not want us to see the way that they move? Is there something?
Or is it so terrifying that our brain blocks it out every time? Or we can't make sense of the way that it does happen. And so
it breaks our brain.
It breaks our brain. It makes me wonder what would have happened. Thank God this person said something to Grams, right? Because dad was a little drunk and was just whatever. But
thank God they went inside too.
Yeah. Thank God it was a storm.
Yeah. Don't like it. But also love hearing about it.
But thanks for posting it on Reddit.
I have a short one that will make us more afraid of humans than anything. 69 Achilles posted this 2 years ago, and it is straight to the point. Man with a bloodied machete limped his way past me as I was getting water off the trail.
Wow. Okay.
Looked at me and said, "Bear." It was so weird. He just kept walking. It was getting dark, and I did not want to ask any other questions. So I just let him get his way ahead of me, and I was stealth camping and really did not want him to see where I was camping. I was so exhausted, and I had my knife and stick with me just in case.
You know what? I actually do believe the old man, because he probably knew how it looked. I know how he looked.
You're just telling yourself this.
He was also exhausted. Bear.
Exasperated, bloody machete dripping blood off of it in his hand. Bear.
Can you hunt bear? Is there a bear hunting license?
I don't know.
Did he go back and do
I don't know.
Was he gutting the bear?
I don't like it.
No. That is very creepy.
Yep.
Okay. All right, great.
Fantastic.
Okay, so I have a little surprise for us. And it is an Am I the Asshole? Which we never get to do because when are there Am I the Assholes regarding the paranormal?
All those ghosts writing on Reddit, am I the asshole for showing up in the shower while she was washing her hair?
Right? In my search for these stories, I found one and I was like, oh my God, this is our chance. We can do an Am I the Asshole?
It's a paranormal one.
It says, am I the asshole for being mad that my husband let us buy a possibly haunted house?
Okay, let's hear it.
And this person created this Reddit account specifically to post this Am I the Asshole because their username is House Maybe Haunt. We're in our early 30s with kids. We decided to sell our home and upgrade to a bigger one. We were looking for houses for a couple months and finding it frustrating We got outbid in one we really liked. And then my husband told me that his coworker was selling his house and thought that we might be interested. Me and my husband went out for dinner. We had a good time and got a good look at the house, and it met everything we were looking for. So we decided to go forward and enter negotiations about buying the house, and we moved in July. Living in the house has been really nice so far. However, I recently ran into the coworker's wife at the supermarket, and we were chatting about the house. I mentioned how I'm starting to decorate for the fall, and she said, "Ooh, the spooky decorations will make the ghosts feel at home," and then started to laugh. I was very confused. I asked her what she meant, and she seemed really confused. She said that she and the kids had some really weird experiences, some bad nightmares, doors slamming, other weird noises, creepy auras in the house, and that they thought that it was haunted. She assumed my husband had mentioned that to me and that we were on the same page and that we just didn't care. Well, we were not on the same page. My husband never told me. For background, my husband is a very skeptical and rational man. So I confronted him, and he said he didn't tell me because, one, his coworker said that he'd never experienced anything, so it was just the wife and kids, and two, he knew I would get irrational and be scared even though the house was perfect for us.
Don't ever say you think your wife's about to get irrational.
Right? And double rude for like the guy being like, well, I didn't, only the women and children experienced it, so it's not real.
Those irrational women and children.
And three, ghosts are not real anyway. All right, well, fuck you too. On behalf of all ghosts, a big F you. He insisted that he did not withhold information about the house itself. It was just irrelevant information about the coworker's family and their beliefs. Wow, this seems like a really frustrating man to be married to.
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm mad.
I'm mad too. I'm infuriated that he let us buy this house without telling me. I now feel scared in my own home. I don't feel safe here at night anymore. Every noise puts me on edge. I've been looking for a sale on cameras so that we can record inside of the house and see if we can identify if there are spirits visiting. And I also told our children about it so that they can be safe and aware. But my husband is now mad at me because now they're scared too. I'm hoping that the previous family was either hallucinating, but both the wife and the kids, or maybe the spirits traveled with them to their new house. I'm not really sure what I will do if they are actually here. But my husband is not being very considerate of my fears and just keeps insisting that ghosts are not real. He says I have no right to be mad and to throw our family into turmoil over this.
Bitch.
I know what he believes, but it's not what I believe, and he just put us into this situation. So am I the asshole?
No, you are not. I do understand from the husband's perspective, like not wanting to worry her. But if you know your partner is afraid of and very much believes in the paranormal and you get this information, it is common decency, good partner behavior to share that information.
And like understand that people have different beliefs and interests.
100%.
And it doesn't, just because it's not yours doesn't mean it's not real. It's real to them.
And he clearly, it was such a conscious choice to not tell her because he thought she was going to get irrational. Like, he just made the decision for her. I really hope that you're not experiencing things. And
I hope if anything does happen, it happens only to him. And also I'm just frustrated at that man and his conversations and being like, well, this is the way it is. So
what is this? The 1920s?
Yeah.
Like,
it's like,
stop making decisions for women. We can make our own decisions.
Yeah. Live outside of your own brain for a second, bud.
Well,
this is why we can't really participate in Am I the Assholes? Because anyone who believes in the paranormal, not the asshole. Anyone who doesn't, we're going to call the asshole.
Yeah. 100%.
But we can lightly see both sides. But no, we deem you not the asshole.
The crystal ball says not the asshole.
Not the asshole.
Anyway, if you have any paranormal not the asshole or am I the asshole stories, we'd love to have them because we could do it. If you guys email them to us in that format, we could do an episode about it.
That would be so fun.
Yeah. And if you
never get to, and this was a little treat for us.
We just want to.
Give us a little snack.
Give us a little snacky snack. And also give us your Appalachia stories and your Monroe Institute stories because we're about to dive in.
I'm very excited for the Monroe Institute.
So excited. So excited. I think it's going to be a long one because the manual is 21 pages. Like I'm for sure going to read the whole entire manual to you.
Well, as you should.
And everyone close your eyes and we'll do like a...
I'll say nothing.
You'll just practice them and see what happens?
Yes. 44174
55515 55515. Might be 4 5s. 555515.
I don't know, but we have time to practice before our next migraine and birth.
So please send us your stories, your Am I the Asshole, and your Appalachia, your paranormal, anything odd and unusual stories to 2girls1ghostpodcast@gmail.com. If you want episodes ad-free and 1 week early, plus bonus episodes every single month, plus book club, plus campfire stories, join us on Patreon. It's $5 a month and you get lots of bonuses in addition to everything we just listed.
You can watch us on YouTube. You can follow us on social medias. You can tell. I know. I literally, do you see my brain be like, do I correct myself? We could just keep going.
Keep going. And then I outed you. Sorry.
You know what I mean. This is not a corrections podcast.
No.
But yeah, just tell everybody about this podcast. And then in turn, you might hear some creepy stories from them. And then in turn, you can email those to us. We appreciate it.
It's a pyramid scheme.
We love you. We love our editor, Jamie. And we will see you on the other side.